Just when I didn't think my journey into learning about narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder couldn't have any more twists and turns, yet another one popped up. Recently, there was a fallout between the quote-unquote self-aware narcissists and the narcissist abuse coaches and therapists. This I did see coming. And I'm actually not happy about it because I think I came across the first self-aware narcissist around 2021. And it was inspiring. Having been affected by narcissists so much in my family and then interpersonal relationships later on, for a long time, I always wanted hope that there could be some help for them. Something that could salvage our relationship or even just their life in general. However, this puts a damper on that thought. And I'm one who has a philosophy now and have had it for a while. Don't hold on to any hope with a narcissist. Just write them off as there's no saving them. Just let them go. That's my usual recommendation for other people and what I've adopted for myself for a while now. But part of me still is an optimist, a jaded one, but I do believe deep down, and this is because I have a background as a healer and I've explored various alternative healing modalities that aren't necessarily advertised in the mainstream. And taking those deep dives, I found out you really can reverse just about anything. I don't want to say everything, but close. I know in Western medicine, both for physical care and mental care, a lot of the answers, and people don't like to hear it, but it's true, is, oh, there's nothing we can do, or we can just suppress it. Just take this pill and it'll be kind of better for a little bit, but there's a lot of side effects and sometimes they're worse than the condition. And it's crazy to me with how prevalent narcissism is becoming now, yet they're not exploring more research into it. There's been, on both sides, the narcissists themselves, the self-aware ones, and more on the coaching side, because those are usually the people that suffer narcissistic abuse growing up and or in at least one relationship later on in their life. They've both been saying narcissism is becoming a pandemic. Our society encourages it. It can actually be beneficial to be a narcissist in the way our society is constructed. Going even further down that line of reasoning, I truly believe our society is designed by narcissists, if not psychopaths. But that's a whole another topic I do plan on getting into at some point, because I think it's beneficial to deconstruct why things are the way they are. I don't think narcissism is this anomaly that just popped up out of nowhere and we're just letting it go for the sake of it. There has to be some better reasoning why it's becoming the problem it is. if there's one thing that people agree on, no matter what their viewpoint on narcissism is, it's that there's a lot of narcissists. It's increasing. And there's not much you can really do about it. So here we are. And not many people are speaking up that we should do something about it. So it's a very strange time and place we're in during this battle against narcissistic personality disorder. Before this rift broke out, however, I was starting to have a little bit of hope. Because these self-aware narcissists, their presentation of themselves was different. They were very aware of their condition. They were well-spoken. They understand the process of what's going on in their mind and why they're doing most of the things they're doing. They also are able to give insights that the average neurotypical or empath would be able to have. Because we're always wondering, what are they really thinking? Is it intentional? Or surely it's just some of their old traumas causing some type of automatic response? Because we want to believe that there's people that aren't that bad deep down, despite all their abusive behaviors. Despite it coming out more and more that there are just some rotten people. They might not even have that core wound or anything. They're just cruel. The first self-aware narcissist that I think became relatively mainstream was Sam Vaknin. He's a strange character. And I have a story about my interactions with him. I think I'll save that for another episode as well. I say he's a strange character because he's a narcissist that was diagnosed, and somehow, despite his condition, he was able to acknowledge it. And he speaks out about it, so he is doing an overall good thing by giving the people out there some insights into narcissism from a narcissist perspective. However, he doesn't seem to be trying to heal from it. He's gone to therapy, but from what he's saying, it sounds hopeless for him. He doesn't think there's anything he can do, so he's just going to make people aware of it instead of getting help himself. This is what I've understood from what he said. That is my understanding from his talks. So, that's a little all. That's kind of a down note, right? But then there's a younger generation of self-aware narcissists. These narcissists, and at least a few of them, have gotten big followings and gotten a lot of information out there. They're a little bit different. They have been working with a therapist trying to reduce their narcissistic behaviors. And one in particular seems like he's made a lot of progress. He was just ruining and sabotaging his previous relationships. But supposedly, and this is after many years of therapy, I caught him like after he was already in for around 6, and now I think he's going on 8 or so. But it seems like he was actually becoming a much better person. And it was inspiring. I'm not gonna lie about that. I was thinking, good for him, and wow, maybe as despondent as I was, and as much as I have written off narcissists, I'm like, maybe there is a glimmer of hope. Not for the majority of them, but even if there's a few that could get through, that would still be amazing to me, and I'd really be happy about that. Because I it doesn't do anything for me or other narcissist abuse victims to just have narcissists mess up other people's lives and their own lives. It's stupid. This just goes nowhere. Just the same cycle over and over again. And this younger generation of self-aware narcissists, we're also putting some great information out there. Their insights actually seem to be honest. So I was like, okay, wow, we're getting a pure perspective of what narcissism is from a narcissist. However, along their way, there were some skeptical people, because that's the problem with narcissists. They don't do anything unless it serves their own best interests. So, as much as like some people wanted to believe that they just had this epiphany and they were just able to put their own selfish interests to the side and try to help the greater good, it doesn't seem to be the case. And if you don't believe that from before, now it's becoming pretty obvious that they just can't help themselves. Narcissists are addicted to narcissism. The way the whole thing transpired was very strange. I just went on Instagram one day, and this guy who has a pretty big following and is very intentional and soft-spoken, who speaks a lot about narcissists and has shared some really good information. One of his reels was saying how the same younger one I was talking about basically was doing a smear campaign against him. And he was getting his flying monkeys to attack him. And I'm like, man, because this self-aware narcissist in particular seems to be a really good guy. And obviously, narcissists try to build an amazing fake public persona, but here's someone who's been working on it for 8 years, which was disappointing because it shows you when they feel attacked, they still go back to their old habits, no matter how much they've been working on themselves. Then, in that very same week, I think it was just like a few days later, there was a pretty good and well-known narcissist abuse coach. He has a cool perspective because he has autism, so I appreciate his unique insights. Was being threatened by a different self-aware narcissist. The whole thing was crazy because that self-aware narcissist actually went on that narcissistic abuse coach's podcast. And they had a good rapport for what it seemed. They had a good back and forth. But for some reason, because this narc abuse coach was working with a therapist that this self-aware narcissist disagreed with, he he started threatening him. Like, hey, you got to stop working with this guy and sharing his ideas and insights at his work, because he's an author as well. He put a book out there, and he has a new book coming out. You got to stop sharing his conclusions, or I'm going to do some type of hit piece on you. I'm going to expose you. And crazily enough, it was really only one conclusion in particular the self-aware narcissist disagreed with, because from his experience, it was different. This former therapist found that narcissism doesn't always have to come from abuse. It certainly can, but it doesn't always have to come from it. And whether you agree or not with that, that's fine. The therapist said that, or the former therapist, I should say, now author, said that himself. But he backed it up with research. He wasn't just pulling these statistics and the information he drew from them out of the air. There were studies done on this, and it was well researched, it seems. And he puts a lot of thought and work into it. It's not like he's just sitting back and like, hey, narcissists are just evil monsters coming out of nowhere. They're like just some half-baked theory coming out of the blue. No, he really has done a lot of work and can speak really well on the subject. Flash forward, and the narcissist abuse coach didn't back down. He kept working with that former therapist, and that self-aware narcissist did post at least one video. I don't think it was bad as he was threatening, but he did put down that theory for sure and warn people against narc abuse coaches that don't know what they're talking about. And while I do believe that self-aware narcissists experience that childhood trauma did play a main factor, if not was the only factor in causing his NPD. However, I was very disappointed that he could see that there could be other factors. And I'll say it, it was hypocritical in my perspective, because he's one of the ones who espouses that not all narcissists are the same. And here was an author saying that, and then he went on the offensive to that author and at least one other person that worked with him, because they were basically saying the same thing, just in a different line of reasoning. And surprise, surprise, it was very narcissistic, right? Who would have thought a narcissist being a narcissist? To me, it's honestly a shame, though. For a while, it seemed like if the self-aware narcissists and the narc abuse coaches could work together, we could all come up with solutions much more easily. That, hey, even though untreated narcissists are very competitive and they're very against collaboration, this could show that if they did get help, maybe they can undo that. Well, looks like that romantic notion has been blown to smithereens. And we're in this new area now, where it appears that even self-aware narcissists who've been going to therapy for a while, not just a little bit, but years, aren't going to be much of a help in the end. They can offer short-term advice that I'm sure is helpful to certain people dealing with narcissists in specific situations. But it doesn't appear their intentions are good. And you have to wonder, what are their ulterior motives? I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of this fallout between the self-aware narcissists and the narcissist awareness community. The divide seems like it's only going to increase as things go on. So I recommend paying attention, and feel free to form your own opinions on what's been unfolding. No matter how this battle ultimately unfolds, The one thing I do know for sure is that my intentions are pure, and I'm going to continue to share the firsthand information and knowledge that I've picked up so that the next time you encounter a toxic person, you'll get missed by the narcissist.